So I see a couple of you are having trouble with lesson 90, so I wanted to make this little practice video. And what this program is going to do is not do exactly what they say in lesson 20, but it's going to basically ask for a value right here. It's going to ask for a value and test to see if that's the greatest value that they've put in. But let me explain first of all how I'm going to go about doing it. First of all, I have a while loop here that's going to continually ask for this question, enter a number, enter a number. You can see it right down here, constantly asking to enter a number. And then what it does is it scans in the value. And then what I want it to do is print out the largest value. A couple things that I set up beforehand is this integer want to go again. And I do this a lot where I name things just so that it's easy for me to remember what they're used for later on. So I have this want to go again integer value because it says in the instructions that I'm supposed to type in a 1 if I want to go again and a 0 if I don't want to go again. So that's why I made integer want to go again. Then I have this double value here. It's the largest value. And then I have the double value of one that I'm going to scan in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare this value to my largest value. If this value is larger than the largest value, well then I want my value to become my largest value. So for example, if my largest value is 5, and then I type in a 6, I want to compare this value with this value, and if this value here, 6, is larger than 5, I want to put 6 into 5 and get rid of that 5. Or sorry, 6 into largest value and then get rid of the old 5 from the largest value. And of course I have to make my scanner to do all this. Now what I do to start this is it's tempting to make this equal to 0 when you start off with. But what if my largest value is -3? If I make this a 0, let's see, if I make that a 0, it won't come out right, and maybe I'll remember to show you that here a little bit later on. But what I did is I made this to be the minimum value. Now I could have just typed in something other than min value. I could have just typed in like a negative, or whatever the largest double value is. I can't remember what it is. And since I can't remember what it is, that's where I usually like to put in this integer min value. I think I can actually make this a double min value. I can't remember exactly now, but this will get me past this issue right here. So let's try it and see what happens. Remember, I like to do this in bits and pieces, so I know it's not going to work. So please enter number. Okay, enter a value. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It never ever ends, and that it never ever ends because the problem here is want to go again is always a 1. So I'm going to have to put in another question here to see if I want to quit or not. So I'm going to type that in here. Do you want to go again? And I'm going to scan another. I do this a lot where I just scan things here. So I don't want to scan a value though. I want to scan, let's see, I want to go again. And it's not a double, it's an int. Let's see if that works here. Okay, so I'm going to please enter a number 1, and then I'm going to just put in a 1 because I want to go again. Please enter a number 3. Do you want to go again? I'm going to put in a 1. Put in 8. Do you want to go again? I'm going to put in a 0. Aha! So now, oops, I made a mistake here. I'm going to put in. Okay, so it jumped out as soon as I put in a 0. Do you want to go again? I put in a 0, and look at it, it jumps out. I didn't have to say when it's a 0, get out of there. It's just that it's not a 1 now. And so I actually could have typed in anything I wanted to here, and it would have jumped out of the loop. And I think that's probably okay. But you can also put in a break statement there too. That might actually be better. But look at what it says here, farthest north. Actually, I changed that to largest number because this is from lesson 20. But it says the farthest north, in other words, the largest 20, is this huge negative number, negative 2.14 times 10 to the ninth power. That's a huge, very small negative number, and that's because I set it to this min value here. So let's test this. And what I want to do is I want to say, if the value is larger than the largest value, I want to replace it. So I want to do some little smart stuff here. It says if value, the thing that I just scanned in, is greater than the largest value, if that's greater than the largest value, then what should I do here? If that's the case, if the value is larger than the largest value, then I'm going to say largest value is equal to value. Okay, so let's see what that does. And then I'm supposed to print out largest value down here. Let's just see what this does here. So I'm going to compile that. Oops. Well, it would help if I, and I did this incorrectly. It should actually be a lowercase l. I'm going to change that back here to a lowercase l. So it should, these are camel caps. So the very first one is lowercase and the next word is uppercase. Let's see if this compiles now. Oops. Did it again. Largest value. Compile. And I'm going to run it. Okay, please enter a number. I'm going to put in a 3 this time. Would you like to go again? Sure, I'll go again. Put in a number, and I'm going to put in a 4 this time. Do you want to go again? Sure. Enter a number. I'm going to put in, let's just do 5. Do you want to go again? Nope. Largest number is 5. Look to see, first it stored a 4, then it stored a 1, it stored a 3, yeah, then a 4, then now a 5, and put in a 0, and then when it spits out is a 5 at the very end. So the largest value then is what is kept track of. So if you get stuck on this, you can put in some print statements just to see what's going on inside here too. For example, you could put in a print statement just like right here. Let's see here. I'm going to put in a print statement. Every time it copies something over, I'm going to say new large value. So every time this is true, it's going to replace it, and it's also going to print out a new large value. Let's see, compile. Let's run it. Please enter a number. I'm going to put in a 1. Okay, new largest value. Do you want to go again? Sure. Enter a number. Let's put in 10. New largest value. Do you want to go again? Sure. Enter a number. I'm going to put in a 7 this time. Look, it didn't ask me the new largest value this time because this wasn't true. I put in a 7, so that wasn't true. So it didn't have a largest value, so it didn't print out the largest value. All it does is it goes, do you want to go again? I'm just going to type 0. And the largest value is indeed 10. It didn't record a 7 that time. Let me show you what happens if you don't do this, if you fall into this problem right here, where you just think, well, the largest value, let's see, the minimum value would be like a 0, so let's see if that works here. If I run it, and I say, please enter a number, and let's say I'm going to put in a negative 45. Do you want to go again? Sure. Please enter a number, let's see, negative 89. Do you want to go again? Sure. Please enter a number, negative 100. Do you want to go again? Nope. So now the largest value is 0 because that's what I started it out as. I put in nothing but negative values, and since that's the case, the 0 here is the largest value. So that's what it reported back. So you can't start it at the at 0. So you have to put in the integer minimum value. So I put that back in, integer min value. By the way, min value is a constant and it never changes. That's why it's in capital letters. Don't ever use capital letters for your variables until later on in the year. We'll learn when it's okay to put in a capital letter here, capital value. Well, the next step is, let's say you want to restrict them to certain values. Let's say you want them to type in values that are greater than 0, let's say. So what you'd want to do is you just want to make another if statement to catch those values. So you could just say if value is greater than or equal to 0, then what you want to do is you want to do all this stuff that's inside here. Let's see here. I'll type it in there. That always messes me up. Again, I can do a select all, then hit my tab key, and it straightens it all out here. So if value is greater than 0, then it tests to see if it's the largest, and if it's the largest. But if I put in a negative value, it doesn't even get to this part here, I guess is what my point here. So let's compile this now and run it. Run it. Please enter a number. Let's do 12. New largest value. Sure, I want to go again. Please enter a number. Let's type in a negative 15. It skipped it. It just says, do you want to go again? So let's type in a 0 and see what it's stored now. New largest value is 12. Because the value that I typed in was less than 0, it didn't even bother to check all this stuff. It just skipped it and just went down to do you want to go again? So what you need to do then is one other thing, and that is print out that that was the value is not correct, or whatever. The value has to be positive, whatever, however it is that you want to do it. But you have to take care of the situation where if they typed in a 0, you have to type in incorrect value. And what you could do is just down below here, just test to see again, I guess, test to see if it's less than 0. If it is, then it prints out something and then comes up to do you want to go again. But I think you can handle that. So I hope this helps. Again, this is just testing for the largest value in a completely different scenario. Remember that you'd probably want to use minimum value. I guess in this case, because I know I won't accept anything that's greater than, or the value has to be greater than or equal to 0, I could put in a 0 here if I wanted to, but only because of the way I'm testing it. But in the activity, I think it can go as far as negative 180 or negative 90. So you have different values that you have to, different constraints that you have to go through. So this one just does the largest value. You have to do 2 different large values and 2 different small values. But it's the same process. It's the exact same process. You're going to put in a value. You're going to see, hey, is this largest value, is the value greater than the largest value? Then do that. But then you can also test, like, is the value less than the smallest value that we've had? If that's the case, then put in a new smallest value. It's just the opposite of what we've been doing here. So the only difference that you might make is, like, it has to be between 2 values than it does the whole latitude and longitude thing in our case. Okay, well, practice this. See if you can get at least this much on your own, and using latitude and longitude for activity 20, and see if you can get it to store the largest value. If you can get it to store the largest value, then see if you can get it to store the smallest value. Then once you've gotten that, once you've gotten the latitude and longitude to work properly, then you can just basically copy and paste and do the whole thing over again for the, if you get the latitude done correctly, then you can do the longitude just by basically copying and pasting. The trick here is the while loop, and that makes it go through as many times as you want it to go through. All right, well, give this a try. I hope this helps. See you next time.